All right, today we're jumping into one of the most talked about and, let's be honest, controversial books out there. Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. Some people see it as a dark Machiavellian manual. Others swear it's an essential tool for just getting by in the world. So what's the real story? Let's get into it. Right out of the gate, Greene hits you with this quote from Machiavelli. And honestly, this is the key to the whole book. It basically says that if you are committed to being good and fair all the time, you're setting yourself up to fail. Because, well, most people aren't playing by those rules. It's a pretty stark worldview, and it's the foundation for everything that comes next. So that idea leads us directly to the book's central argument, what Greene sees as this huge conflict in modern society. He calls it the paradox of power, and it's all about this massive, massive gap between how we're all supposed to act and how the world actually works. And this slide really lays it all out for you. On the one hand, in our world, you've got to appear fair, decent, democratic. You can't just be an obvious tyrant, right? People would hate that. But Greene argues, underneath that surface, the reality of getting ahead, of gaining power, is that you have to be cunning, devious, and most importantly, subtle. To really hammer this point home, Greene uses this one powerful metaphor throughout the book. He says you need to start seeing the modern world, your office, your social scene, you name it, as if it were an old aristocratic court. You know, a place just simmering with schemes, hidden agendas, and nonstop manipulation. And wow, this quote just nails that idea, doesn't it? Back in the court, you couldn't just use brute force. That was seen as clumsy and barbaric. Success was all about mastering the indirect move. It's a world of what Greene calls civilized war. It's all about deception and seduction, making people do what you want without them ever really knowing you pulled the strings. So, okay, if the world is this treacherous, backstabbing court, what are you supposed to do? How do you survive, let alone actually win? Well, according to Greene, you need a rule book, and that's exactly what the 48 Laws of Power is meant to be, a practical playbook for the modern courtier. And look, these aren't just some vague philosophical ideas. They're presented as very real, amoral tactics. Some are defensive, to protect yourself, and others are straight-up offensive moves to get ahead. To really see what I mean, let's look at two laws from the book that are pretty much polar opposites. First up, a defensive one. This is all about self-preservation. Law number 1, never outshine the master. In any job, any hierarchy, your goal should be to make your superiors feel secure and brilliant. Why? It's basic human nature. If your boss sees you as a threat, if they feel insecure because of your talents, you're none for. It's the ultimate courtier move. You manage your boss by protecting their ego. Okay, now let's do a complete 180 and look at a purely offensive law. Law 15 is just ruthless. It says that showing mercy to an enemy is a huge mistake because if you leave even one little ember burning, it will eventually spark a new fire. Your enemy will recover and they will come back for revenge. For Greene, the only safe option is to crush them totally, not just physically, but in spirit too. Now, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking. This is awful. I don't want to be this person. I don't want to play this game at all. You just want to opt out. But here's the thing. Greene has an answer for that. He says the idea of being a non-player is a total myth. And here's the kicker. According to Greene, even people who claim they reject power are still playing the game. They're just using different, sneakier strategies. That person who's always talking about how weak they are, that's a power move to get your sympathy. That person demanding absolute equality, it can be a way to bring down people who are more skilled. And pretending to be naive, that can be the most powerful disguise of all. Greene says you have to watch out for these people the most. So where does all this leave us? Well, it all builds to the book's final and maybe most challenging takeaway. It doesn't ask you to judge whether the game of power is good or bad. It just states, as a fact, that the game exists. And then it presents you with a choice. And here it is. This is the core ultimatum of the 48 Laws of Power. The world runs on these principles whether we like it or not. And just ignoring them, pretending they don't exist, that doesn't keep you safe. No, it just makes you a pawn, totally vulnerable to other people who do understand the game. So your only real choice is to learn the rules and become a master yourself. So we're left with this big question. Is this book a deeply cynical manual for manipulation that encourages our worst instincts? Or Is it a brutally honest, essential guide to the reality of human dynamics? A guide you need to understand, if only to protect yourself? That's the question the book forces you to confront, and it's definitely one worth thinking about.